Well, hey, welcome back to another episode of the Main Event Podcast. I am your sole host for this episode, at least, Danny, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the crazy ride that we've been on over the last couple weeks when it comes to the main event of WrestleMania, and that is whether or not we were going to get Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, or if we were going to get Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, and if The Rock was going to be coming back to steal the spotlight from Cody Rhodes. Now, there's a couple things that I think are important to take note of. Number one, all of the dirt sheets and like backstage rumors have been all over the place. Typically, other than like your super not credible sources, typically all of the main like dirt sheets like Fightful and like the Wrestling Observer and like all of those types of places are all pretty like consistently on the same page, right? I mean, if you look at Sean Ross Sapp or Dave Meltzer or however you pronounce his last name, they seem to be generally, at least from what I read, they seem to be generally all on the same page. However, it was like all over the place this last week or so. It seemed like, at least from what I was reading and interpreting on what was happening. You know, you had some people saying, no, like it's a done deal. It's been a done deal that it's going to be The Rock versus Roman. You've had people saying, well, it was going to be The Rock and Roman like as of Royal Rumble weekend. And prior to that, Cody Rhodes was slated to, you know, face Roman Reigns. And I have been a wrestling fan for a really long time. You know, I watched it up until I was a teenager, and then I took a little bit of a break for like 10, 15 years, but then I picked it back up, you know, probably almost a decade ago now, little less than a decade ago, and I've been watching it ever since, and let me tell you, I've never seen an audience react the way that the WWE Universe has been acting and like reacting since Friday Night SmackDown, when Cody Rhodes essentially steps aside and The Rock comes out. The huge cheers that The Rock got when he first came out were great, but then like immediately you had a firestorm of backlash, and it was insane to me how quickly everyone turned on The Rock. Look, we've been wanting The Rock versus Roman Reigns for as long as I can remember. I mean, pretty much as soon as he won that title, we were all like, oh, it would be dope if The Rock and Roman Reigns went at it for like ultimate head of the table status. And if it wasn't for Cody Rhodes' storyline of like finishing the story, everyone would be pumped about this feud. However, it is more clear to me now that Cody Rhodes is the future of WWE. He is the next Cena. Like, he is the next what Roman Reigns was supposed to be when he was a babyface. Like, he is the guy. And people are behind him like I've never seen before. And the thought of Cody not finishing his story has absolutely just enraged the wrestling world. And, you know, I don't blame him. I think that is, I was pissed because I want to see that moment when, well, first of all, I want to see the moment where Roman Reigns finally loses this freaking title, but I want Cody Rhodes to be the person to take it off of him. And I know for a fact that if it ends up being The Rock and Roman, there's no way they take the belt off of Roman for The Rock, like, because he's not going to be able to wrestle. I mean, what, he defends it once and loses so he can go back to Hollywood? I mean, that's predictable. And so I say all of that to say that, like, one of two things seem to have happened tonight at this press conference, which I must say is maybe one of the coolest ways that they could have done this. Either this was a work the entire time and this has been the plan for weeks, or they were not expecting the level of backlash that they got and they had to pivot between last Friday and tonight. And for the WWE, historically, that is pretty unheard of. I mean, it takes them a while to like pivot to actually give the fans what they want. And I think this is a really big indication that Triple H is the guy to like carry the creative forward from here on out, because if this was a work the entire time, it was one of the most brilliant works I've ever seen. I mean, they had everybody convinced up until the point that Cody Rhodes comes out tonight that it was going to be The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and no one was pumped about it. And they were pissed, and I've never heard a crowd react that way. On Monday Night Raw, they hardly could talk. I mean, over the "We want Cody" chants and "Rocky sucks" chants, and it was incredible to see the fan base all pretty much uniting around that and saying like, hey, we're not going to stand for this. You are not going to do this. And to see that pivot tonight at the press conference was incredible. I mean, it seems as if it's going to lead to a tag match either at Elimination Chamber or I guess maybe night one of WrestleMania, though I think would be weird to have Seth in a tag match at WrestleMania instead of defending his title, but that may also be the way they're going to get around his injury, giving him the least amount of ring time. It also gives The Rock the ability not to look like he's ancient, because he is not in like the greatest ring shape, I would assume, and probably is going to get blown up pretty easy. But I absolutely love the direction. And let me tell you, the way they executed this press conference tonight was genius to me. Having The Rock come out and declare that he is going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, having Roman Reigns say that, like, since Cody's not going to pick, I'm going to pick, and I choose The Rock, them doing their face-off, the family tree, and then having Cody come out and do it as, like, a shoot of, like, no, this is bullshit. This is my decision, and I choose Roman Reigns. And then the aftermath of, like, him mentioning the family, and then The Rock basically turning heel and saying, hey, you talk about my family, or like you talk about Roman's family, you're talking about my family, and then slapping Cody into next Tuesday was so good. I mean, I was verbally like, oh my God, like this is actually happening. Like, this was either a work the whole time, or the WWE pivoted super hardcore, and you have one of the most grounded in reality storylines right now that I've ever seen. I mean, the way they executed this was like, this could be real. This didn't seem like acting, even though I'm thoroughly convinced that it was. It didn't seem like it. It seemed like this was real life beef happening, and that's what you want in a really good wrestling storyline, unless you're, Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, who basically just tells stories of like magic and mysticism and things like that, which I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite like ways to consume wrestling. And I'm not going to talk a lot about Bray Wyatt because I don't want to cry on the podcast. So I'm going to get back to the subject. But the reality that this storyline seems to be grounded in is phenomenal. And I cannot wait to see like what they do with it and what happens leading up to WrestleMania, and the twists and turns that are going to happen. And the fact that The Rock has been able to like commit himself to the WWE for what seems to be at least semi long term to finish this run leading up to WrestleMania is pretty incredible, because I was under the impression that maybe he would show up once or twice and then we wouldn't see him again until WrestleMania. But he's been fairly consistent with his appearances. I mean, even dating back to about 3 or 4 months ago when he made that surprise entrance on SmackDown. We've seen The Rock more times on WWE television than we've seen him in years. And I think that's saying something about like his dedication to see this through. And then him now being on the board, of directors for TKO, I think is another factor that plays into this. But I'm just super excited to see where this thing goes and where it ends up, and, what we're going to end up with at WrestleMania, because I am just so excited. But anyways, yeah, I'm pumped. And then, shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about what happened at the NXT Premium Live event on Sunday. I'm sorry. I feel like we all knew that Carmelo Hayes was going to turn on Trick Williams, but it was good to see it finally come to fruition. But let me tell you, I love Trick Williams, and I think that he is going to be an absolute megastar. He is just so charismatic. His entrance music and theme is phenomenal. When he goes to the main roster, if they change his entrance music, I'll lose my mind. I absolutely love it. I love listening to him and like his character. It's just great. And I have no doubt in my mind that they are gearing up for him to just take the WWE by storm, and I can't wait for it. The reaction that he got when he came out to do the save for Carmelo Hayes on SmackDown, from what I've read, was really surprising to even the bigwigs in the back. They weren't expecting that level of reaction for him. And the fact that he got over so well on the main roster with that little run out, I think says a lot about his future. And so I'm pretty excited to see that. And then on another note, something I noticed today, or something that I guess I realized, obviously there's been a lot of rumors and a lot of talk about Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné, or, whatever she calls herself, debuting in AEW now. But when Bianca Belair came out at this press conference tonight, I had a realization with the way that she was moving and the way that the audience was reacting to her and the way she spoke. I feel like Bianca Belair is everything that I wanted Sasha Banks to be when she was in the WWE. I absolutely love Bianca Belair. I love her character. I love her attitude. I love her personality. I absolutely love her in-ring ability. She's a freaking athletic machine. I mean, I just absolutely love watching her. I do wish they would give her a heel run. I think that would be fun to see. I liked her as a heel in NXT, and I think she would make a great heel. But I also understand why they wouldn't want to do that right now. But, man, I never liked Sasha Banks. I did not think she was that good in the ring, and I'm sure some will disagree with me. I absolutely hated listening to her on the microphone. Didn't think she had very good mic skills at all. Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just like my preference, but I just did not like the way she spoke on the mic. I liked her character, I guess. But I didn't think she had the it factor. And so I guess my attitude has always been like, I guess I really don't care if Sasha Banks comes back. I was really excited to see Naomi come back, but I guess I don't really care that much if Sasha Banks comes back, because I would prefer to watch Bianca Belair over Sasha Banks any day. I think that it is like not even a competition for me when it comes to like who I would prefer to like watch, in a match. It would be Bianca Belair all day. And so, I don't know. That's just like a thought I had about those two, especially with like all the rumors circulating about Mercedes Moné and AEW and all that. But anyways, well, this is going to be a short episode. I just wanted to hop on and give kind of my opinion on everything that transpired tonight and some other random thoughts while it was fresh in my mind. We'll have Chuck and Jackie back on here when we record our next episode, but this was a spur of the moment episode that I wanted to get out just so it was still fresh in my memory and give you guys my take. So we'll discuss this further on future episodes, but thanks for tuning in to the Main Event Podcast Special Edition WrestleMania 40 press conference recap, and we'll see you next time. Bye.